Thank you for coming, Ana Coromina. This is what we're doing here. We're calling it the ABC/DE files, which is a series of conversations with creative practitioners with the idea of kind of understanding what we can learn about community economies, diverse economies, theoretically and practically from creative practitioners. So this is not strictly about what we can learn about creative economies or creative practice or art economies. It's about what generally we can learn in terms of practice and theory from people who are art practitioners or creative practitioners. And today I invited Ana Coromina to have a conversation with me. Ana Coromina is my partner and collaborator. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about is stuff that I somehow know, but still I think that she has a unique perspective that I'm get to hear all the time. And some of it filters into the conversations that we have in the Community Economies Research Network and in the Community Economies Institute. But people don't know that some of these perspectives come from in the kind of unique way that Ana has to deal with, to kind of conceptualize economies and forms of organizing. So, Ana Coromina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes. So, thanks for inviting me. Yeah, my name is Ana. I come from Barcelona. Last 10 years, I've been living in England. My background, I studied philosophy and after cultural management. And since I've been in England, I've been developing like community art projects, and main part of them, they are focused in economies, let's say. And I did this with you. And as well, I work for a Gyroscope, that is a social housing organization. And in this organization, I'm working as my role is community engagement. And as part of this, I manage a little community space in the neighborhood where we live. And we do all other 100 million things with the community and for the community as well. And other than this, I do the social media as well for Gyroscope Hall. Yeah, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is quite a formal description. That just to add, from my personal knowledge, the Antonia is here.
Hello, Antonia.
Hi, Antonia.
Yes.
So as I was saying, the space you were talking about is a small community center that Gyroscope opened just down the street from where we live. And ¿qué tal, Antonia?
Hola. Yes.
So, and we just started. We're doing this in. We could just do it in Catalan, but we're doing it in English because we're hoping to get a good transcription from it and create an to publish on the Community Economies website. So so unfortunately we'll stick to English. So basically, and another thing I wanted to mention, that you talked about managing the Gyroscope's social media, and I think it's worth mentioning that the way you do it is quite unique, creating special social spaces. It's hard to even understand without examples, and we probably won't even have time for all of the examples or even for any of the examples of this today. But but it's not. If you want to take a look at the Gyroscope social media, you'll see a little bit what I'm talking about. How social media is usually quite an individualistic kind of practice, and the way you're managing the Gyroscope social media is you're using it as an excuse for encounters between people and for social
It
kind of
is,
spaces.
I think we can connect this maybe through the conversation.
Okay, so so maybe before we start talking about what you're doing now, you can tell me a little bit about some of your background, things that informed the way you see economies, the way you see, alternative forms of organization
Yeah.
in your work now, and how, the things in your past maybe
Okay.
that
So
made you think
when I
about.
was living in Barcelona, maybe 15 years ago, 20, I was working with mainly musicians from North Africa, Middle East, south of the Mediterranean, organizing concerts and festivals and collaborating with other organizations in France, in Morocco, and different places. So I started working in this company. It was like a kind of a family company. And we were very excited about this music and, the enrichment that produced, like when you put together people from different places. And yeah, but the economy of the company was an absolute nightmare. Okay. And my background was philosophy. So I found myself with the need of understanding and managing better the numbers. And I just wanted to learn a lot and be able to manage all this accountancy that was quite crazy. And then we had this kind of thing that it's called line of credit, I think, that is the bank, they give you like an amount of money. And then even that you have less or more during an year, if you can show them that there's some movement in there, then next year they renew this debt.
It's like a kind of a loan.
Yeah. But it was quite scary because our economy was not stable. Because of the musicians, they were coming from these places, there were a lot of geopolitical problems as well, the Arab Spring, whatever. Things weren't stable. And I remember us like trying to find a way to have enough work during the year to kind of finding this balance. And then the woman that was helping us doing the financial thing of the tax and all of this,
The accountant.
she was always coming to the office. She was more practical, more conservative than us, and we were listening her with a lot of admiration. And she was telling us, Anna, you need to do this thing. You need to call all the city councils. You need to go visit this, visit that, no? And we were following all these patterns.
Explain a little bit more. What does it mean? What did she want you to do?
So just to chase people, chase all the festivals. In each city council, there's always a cultural department, and there's festivals and things that happen every year. So have a list of all these festivals, all the city council, and just chase them and send them emails, and
To systematically chase income.
yeah, and do the social media and do this and do that. And if you do this, it will work. And it was not working at all. And I felt a little bit stupid. And I thought, and then I was observing as well through my learning process, because I didn't know that main part of our jobs, they were coming because we had a friend that knew someone that liked something that we did in the past, or because by accident we took a train, and in the train there was this guy that was listening music, and all the things, or because my workmates they were very charismatic. It was not because we were following the patterns that we were getting jobs. And then I thought, okay, so maybe we need to be more creative, more open, and just define other ways of approaching this economy, because the other way is not working so well for me. So somehow I decided to divorce from this other way of doing the things, of chasing the people, and we invented new approaches, and we were trying out to be more creative, or just to build more relationships in a genuine way, not chasing the people. As well, there was as well a tension between how it works, the economy in the, let's say, in Europe with the musicians, if you work with musicians, or how it works in Africa. It's very different. In Africa, if you need to just arrange a date for a concert, you go, you meet the person, you sit down, you have a coffee, you know, you introduce the family, you are not in a rush, no emails. And then the people, they just they just tell you by word. You don't need any paper. And there's this kind of loyalty, let's say, that doesn't rely in this paper, in this organization, that they need to approve this
Paper,
and that.
you're meaning like contracts and formalities and this kind of thing.
Yeah, the contracts, you can do it, you need to do it. But as well, when I was doing the same in Europe, sometimes you have the contracts, they have all these clausulas, I don't know how you call it, no, but all the little specification of how it needs to be done. And then when something fails, it's very difficult to find a solution, because it's not in this little specification, the solution. So with the African musicians, it was all more flexible. And even when we were working with collaborators in there, the way that we were paying the people, it was not always the same. Like when we had money to pay well, very well, we were paying very well, even beyond what we considered that it was fair, because we knew that maybe the following year, maybe no money, you know. So the person just trusted us. That's how we work it. And some years were like, we had a collaborator in Fez that he was earning,
in
like
Morocco.
In Morocco, he was earning 200 euros to work for a university to do the maintenance, 200 euros a month. So when he was working with us, he was earning like more than the double of this, let's say, just for a few days. And but then there were years that it was not possible to pay the same amount, and this person was still doing the same hours, the same dedication, everything was same. And for us, it was a little bit the same.
But why were they doing this? Explain a little bit more. Why were they?
Because they knew that the economy was not stable, and because beyond our agreement of work, there was a friendship. and we knew each other, and you know, it was not just work. We help it in different ways, not just with money. There's different ways to sustain a friendship, let's say. And this was strong enough to face difficulties or challenges, and it was a good feeling, you know.
Yeah, when you told me about it some time ago, you were saying something that he knew that you were committed to paying him as much as you could. So this intention that he knew that there was this, he trusted that you wanted the best for him. So it wasn't this kind of zero-sum game where each person is trying to get the most and make it so the other one gets the least, but quite the opposite. Kind of like everyone's just putting their trust and their friendship into into this common space. So okay, so maybe if you take all this experience, what is it that you came out of it, and like, you know, conceptualize a little bit in
I
terms
came
of
out with the idea that the economy can be handmade, adaptable, flexible, and that not that the other way, the way that I, the other way of working, the
The
one that
formal economy.
I decided to divorce, was more alienating and maybe difficult to understand why it works, why it doesn't work. Same with social media. You were saying before, the people, when you work on social media, they say, if you want to have a successful post, you need to do this and that and follow all the algorithms. And
Feed the
then,
algorithm.
yeah, and then know that this color works, this time works. But at the end, so many people, they know this, so many people, they do this, that if you don't do something that makes the post a little bit different, the people, they don't pay attention, because we all repeat the same like parrots. But inside there's nothing. So I just thought, okay, I need to invest time to understand other ways to do it, be more flexible, be more open, and just to as well enjoy this journey, not be stressed out, try to find it enjoyable as well for me and the others, no? Because the whole thing is about living well with your community. It's not a selfish thing. I wanted to see the full picture, the way of working that goes well for all the different sides. Because when I was working with musicians again, the way that it works is very colonialist. The peoples that they do the companies that they organize the concerts for the artists, the managers, they are normally with the musicians from North Africa, I'm just saying, and they are normally based on in France. They promise the musicians a number of concerts, and they get very big commissions when they sell a concert. And it's like a wedding, no? You have this agreement, and I need to give you this amount of concerts, and you are always with me. If you get another job, you need to call me. I'm the boss.
It's a
Uh,
contractual commitment. They have to.
yeah, for us
They
was
have
very different.
exclusivity.
Yeah, for us was okay. We are friends. We try to do the best for you, but if you find something else with someone else, go. I don't care. You know, we need to be flexible. So I'm now I lost a little bit where we were going, but did I
We were
answer?
going. Well, I mean, then you were saying that there's maybe like these kind of this kind of two kinds of economy, and one is
Yes,
full of pressure to do things in a very specific kind of standardized way. And you said that you divorced yourself to it
yes,
and kind of dedicated yourself to exploring a different kind of way of doing economy that's more handmade. And
yeah,
I was gonna ask you to come now closer to the present and talk a little bit about the kind of stuff you've been doing in the last few years, and some of which like we've been doing together, but kind of
yeah,
get your like the stories and also the thinking that comes with it from these newer projects.
yeah. After I did this job, we moved to England, and we started working together, organizing community art projects, and that gave me the space in my mind to learn and to be more focused into this journey of not just of practicing the another way of doing an economy, of understanding, no? Because even that I divorced from the other way, I just wanted to know if there's a kind of a pattern that I can learn, or a model, or something to guide me a little bit. um, and then through different art projects, we started developing art tools, um, uh, to help our economies to grow in this direction, let's say. And one of the things that we were doing in England, it was organizing a market, okay, a very like I don't know how you call it, very inclusive, with lots of people trying out all kind of experiments, economic experiments. And at some point, we did this project that it was economic portraits of unlikely entrepreneurs, that we contacted a group of artists that they were very different, like between themselves. One was using photo, the other landscape art, the other was musician. We put together all this team of artists, and then with the people of the market, the people that they were experimenting with different kind of economic projects, we had I don't know, 6 or 7 projects. We selected 6 or 7, I don't remember now the exact number, and we had several conversations between each of these projects and the group of artists. And the idea it was that the group of artists, they were like trying to create a tool to help these entrepreneurs. And this is a little bit abstract to understand, but I can put, the idea was to find an alternative model, but useful, that to do a business plan, to help these economies to grow, to be more resilient, but through art. And then different portraits or these kind of tools came, like in one of the cases was like a textile artist and a puppeteer. They did a kind of a performance of like an organic farm that is in our city. And the guy, when he saw it, he found that things that he was not seeing. He had the opportunity to just move outside of his project and see the things.
The guy from the organic farm.
Yeah. See it from another perspective. Or there was another one that was making soaps, that in that case was very curious, because she came out with a tool for us, really, because she had all these mental health ups and downs, and for her was very difficult to sustain her economy. But through all the process of learning how to manage all these the ups and downs of the mental health and her economy, she found some good ways to do it. And then we ended up doing like a pop-up book that was explaining how to manage your mental health if you are an entrepreneur and you're
so maybe just to recapitulate and maybe clarify this project. We had a team of artists and we had a group of people that we considered entrepreneurs, and these are people who were doing all sorts of very small scale economic projects, like quasi businesses or little community projects. And we had a series of interviews with these unlikely entrepreneurs, is what we called them. And then we kind of told the artists, we commissioned the artists to create tools for arts-based tools for these entrepreneurs. And our idea was for these tools to be, on one hand, very creative, innovative, but on the other hand, useful. Actually, that they're gonna kind of like art-based alternative to business plans, like Anna was saying. So this was an idea that if we want to create economies that are different, that are community-oriented, that are diverse, that aren't following these kind of standard kind of the kind of demands of traditional economics, then we should go to people who are experts in experimentation and in play to create the tools to guide these economies. And just to tell a little bit more about this project, that ended up with this really nice exhibition. But we found that only very few of these projects, even though artistically they were very interesting, but this thing about them actually being useful tools. We didn't feel like a few of them were maybe had some sort of usefulness to them, but a lot of them we felt that that it was hard for maybe the artists to grasp this idea of creating actually something that's useful in this way. And they focused on making just really good art, and that was also really good, but we decided we want to kind of push further in this line to actually see if through artistic processes we can actually contribute something useful to people who are trying to construct economies in a very different way and very diverse and very small scale way.
Cool.
That's my because because we were doing this together, so
yeah,
I'm adding my perspective.
I think another example of things that we did, it was during the pandemic. I did this kind of course or workshops that they were about how to connect art and culture projects with economy and how you can sustain your art projects, like and not relying maybe in external funding. And then I did this kind of workshops of design thinking about this process, and I really found the process very interesting, the design thinking. It was interesting for me because design thinking was this kind of process that is used in mainstream economies, and that like in companies like Apple, they use it to develop the new iPad and things like this. But I like the process because I can explain a little what it is, design thinking, maybe frame it a little. Design thinking is a kind of process, like a kind of a tool that helps some projects to solve problems creatively, let's say. And it's a process that has different steps, but it's iterative. Normally, you follow these steps, but then you go backwards. It never finishes, really. It's like a mood. And it uses our tools, and I like it, the way it works, because it puts a lot of attention to a failure and how to fail fast and see how you can improve, and you prototype, and it has a practical side. It was very useful for me. And then we started adapting this process to change it a little bit, because our aim, it was to help projects or organizations that they produce social benefit. And we did it a little bit different, more democratic, because normally how it works, it is that there's a project that wants to, I don't know, develop a product or has a problem with this product, and they want to solve this problem. And then they do a research, then they invite different experts to have a more collective conversation. They bring ideas, but always the focus is one thing, this little project, this little problem. And for us, we were putting all the problems together, all the projects from the beginning.
Maybe it'd be good to describe exactly what we did with it.
You can explain it if you want.
Well, I mean, I think it has to do with this other project as well, because we took people that we knew, we invited people that we knew. Some of them were stall holders from the market, and we proposed to them that if they have any sort of challenge in constructing or making more sustainable their economic practice, some of these, it's hard to call them even businesses. Maybe they were kind of, like I said before, quasi businesses. They were just kind of people starting to experiment with different forms of exchange, and with maybe creating some homemade thing, then they would that would help them kind of sustain themselves. And other were small scale organizations or different projects or practices that people wanted to make sustainable. So we gathered a group. We did this several times, and we're about to embark on this again. And each member of this group brought some sort of dilemma that they had or some sort of challenge within their process, and we dealt with that dilemma and process collectively through this thing of design thinking that Anna was proposing because she did this course and got all excited about it. So it's different than, say, if Apple's designing an iPad, then it's always, design thinking is always a collective conversational tool. But in the case of product development for a big company, there's one product that says put in the middle, and then they invite all these people around to comment on it and to challenge assumptions. And there's people from the accounting team and people from the design team and stakeholders, and they're trying to get those wide perspective as possible, but it's always focused on this one thing, like, say, the new iPad or whatever. But in our case, it was more dispersed, more decentralized, because we had, say, 4 or 5 groups, each bringing a different project. And then we were relating these projects and these challenges to each other. So people came with a challenge, but they were they were helping other people with their challenge. And then we were kind of hoping that also collaborative responses might emerge. So it's a kind of a much more collective way of doing design thinking, and also this idea that it generates. This is something you told me before when we were talking about it, that it generates more of a kind of a landscape
and
of
there's
relationships and ideas.
Interdependency, no?
Interdependence. We were talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an interdependent landscape of challenges and responses to them.
Yeah. 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 So we've been using the design thinking lately. I think we'll do it very soon. Another of the things that it can materialize this other way of building an economy is a project that I'm doing right now, that it's called Out on the Tiles. It's inspired in this art collective from Argentina that it's called, if you want to find on Instagram, they call Estudio Valija, that they did a research about how to do the cement tiles, the hydraulic cement tiles, you call them in Barcelona. They did the research about how to make them like handmade, like a craft without machines. And they found out like the recipe, because at the end is more like baking a cake, like that doing building work. Okay, so they found out the recipe, and they've been developing and designing tiles with different communities and placing them in different cities. I think they did around 800 sessions, they told me. And at some point they shared the recipe for others to try out. So we wanted always to do it in England. So we started just the project is about tile making, but not just this. It's about through the tile making, like redesigning like the public spaces, the social spaces around, and making the spaces socially healthy, diverse, because also these styles are beautiful and very rich because they come from different traditions, and there's different patterns. In Turkey they have these flowers, in Barcelona they are geometrical, in there's a lot of diversity and cultural heritage from different places, is one of these things that you can see how good is the diversity, because the possibilities are endless. And this project itself, it came in a moment that I was researching about play and how play can contribute to the design of new economies. And I think having this opportunity of designing the physical spaces that we share with people, it kind of create the possibilities of learning or acting differently in your daily life. I will put an example. Like when I was researching about playing, there's outdoor spaces that imagine that they have this kind of imagine that they have, I don't know, little mountains, no, like little that is all flat, and then there's these little semicircular mountains, and you have six altogether symmetrical, perfect. And suddenly one of these mountains goes down, and instead of a mountain, there's a hole. So this kind of thing triggers the kids to play with this kind of hole.
This is a playground you're talking about.
Yes, I'm talking about the playground. Having all these symmetric elements, one after the other, and then something is missing, it creates this kind of new possibility, unexpected thing that invites you to do the things differently, no? Okay, I follow the pattern, and then in here something happens unexpected. So this little change in a landscape, it can create another way of moving, acting. Or if you go, the other day we went to Doncaster, I think it was, and on the floor they had this different like the tiles on the floor were gray, but then there are just a few that they were red. So the kids, they started jumping just on the red ones. No. So I think designing the spaces, knowing that this will allow you to do the things differently, it creates like this new possibility, the openness that you find on play. No, on play, there's this energy that anticipates, and you think something is going to happen. I will learn. And even that is difficult, you persist and you keep doing it, and you keep learning. And normally when you are playing with people, even that, I don't know, that they are your neighbors and in your daily life you don't talk so much, you can play with them. The relationships allowed you to mix more with people, you know. So with the tiles projects, we're experimenting a little bit of this, how the physical spaces, they contribute to create change in the way we do things in the daily life, in the way we build economies that sustain our life.
And can you tell us a little bit exactly what are you going to do with these tiles? Like what's happening? How are these tiles going to be made, and what's going to happen with them?
First of all, it's not just about tiles, obviously, and we are gathering with different people. So other than tiles, there's other events that we are doing. We are cooking together, we are doing radio. There's lots of things, but the tiles as well came in a moment that England is facing some challenges, like because there's a little bit of, but I don't want to be going deeply into in this subject, but I think for some people, they are starting feeling now that England is less inclusive with the diversity of cultures that we find in our streets. And I think the idea was to meet people from different places, start talking and gathering, and then start to learn not just about how to make the tiles, about different patterns and heritage that they are connected to these tiles. So the tiles are an excuse to learn something about the people, our neighbors, let's say. And then through making the tiles, we will co-design different spaces in the neighborhood, spaces that they are already existing, that they are social spaces, but we will just make some changes and
By tiling them,
yes,
by putting the tiles on the floor.
sorry, it's all inside of my head, and sometimes it's difficult to make it. Yeah, we will tile different floors, let's say, that they belong to different social spaces of the neighborhood, 7 social spaces. Like one is a gym, the other one is like allotments, the other one is a community space, different kind of social spaces. And the idea is to create a different kind of space, still social, but co-created with the people and co-design it, and maybe the use that we will make of these spaces will emerge later on, or the people, they can just connect the the tiles to what they expect from this place to be, you know.
And so do I understand correctly that by, let me just recapitulate, you're going to make these tiles together with people based on this recipe from Estudio Valija.
Yeah.
Then you're going to tile several already existing social places in the neighborhood. And then there are going to also be activities held to gather people and also on these tiles. But my question is then, and maybe we should start finishing so we can see if we can answer some questions if there are any. So where you were talking about play, you were talking about patterns being like when there's a pattern and then it's broken. So I'm imagining you're thinking about the patterns of the tiles themselves.
Yeah.
And so do you have any thought connecting this sort of play and this breaking of patterns and these social spaces, physical social spaces that are created, to these ideas you were talking about earlier about these two kinds of economies? One is kind of formal, scientific, that everyone is expected to follow, and the other one is kind of more handmade, more playful. What do you think the contribution is of these spaces or the processes or the tiles or the play to that? If you have any thoughts like that.
Yeah, I think metaphorically works very well because even that I divorced from this other way of doing economy, we are still friends. You know, I still learn from the mainstream economy. I still follow the patterns and these kind of symmetries. I think that the tiles, they allow you to be like more conservative and do everything square and nice and equal, and then just to make a change or jump to another direction, or what is nice about the tiles as well, that the good thing about playing with the tiles is enjoying this diversity, because one single tile, okay, it represents something, it makes you happy, but the most playful thing is to mix all of them and combine them differently and generate this kind of landscape that it represents like something good collectively. It's not just isolating each thing. The energy comes from putting them all together and just playing with, and we were talking about the interdependency of different projects helping each other, sustaining this kind of landscape, this kind of diversity as well that I had when I was dealing with the musicians, that it was something so exciting and so good for my life that even that I was not earning money, I kept doing this job for ages, and it made my life much better. I think having this, yes, and it's just a very simple, and it's an art tool as well. No, allows you playing. Yeah, it corresponds to all the things that we were mentioning before. And as well, it gives you the sense that you own the space where you live. It connects you to the place. It's not, now that we spend a lot of time on the computer and in our head, no, this is like using your body on public spaces is much different. It has this sense of ownership, that we belong to this place. There's this kind of rooting kind of thing, no? That, and even that you don't have a lot, you are doing the floor where you step on. That's quite powerful. I mean, and you can imagine the life that you want to have in this floor. It opens big windows to your life. I think it's it gives you a lot with a very little thing as well. And one of the things that it fascinates me sometimes, when you have lots of limitations in economy, sometimes you need to be very creative and just to find a different way of doing the things. And I think it gives you this possibility to create something new with very little. Yeah.
So should we should we finish the kind of formal bit of the interview and see if Antonio has any comments or
Yes.
questions?
Yes.
Yeah, well, for me, I was very interested to see, this talk. And also yesterday, initially I was planning and then couldn't make it because you are in a universe that is quite different from what I know and what I am familiar with. And you talk about a lot of different experiences. And I was thinking when you, Anna, was mentioning your experience in Barcelona, at some point you say, I did it for a long time. And I wondered for how long you did it. And at the same time, I had the feeling that say, well, it did not work. At the end, things didn't work as much as you expected or how did you want it. And then also brought me the issue that how do you evaluate the outcome? I mean, I guess it has a lot to do with what are the expectations? Because maybe it didn't work in one way, but it worked also in many others. And if we think about the formal or traditional economy, economic life, and this alternative, also in the formal one, there are many things that when they are new, they don't work initially. So sometimes you have to try many, many times. The business have to try many times until they get success. So I was thinking, I was wondering about how do you, see the time, the effort, the outcomes, and the evaluation of all these experiences.
Yeah. It was around 10 years, more or less, experience. But with this specific company, it was a little less, 7 maybe. Because before I was working with culture, but more stable things, let's say. With this experience, I didn't have big expectations. I just wanted to learn, to understand. And yeah, for me, it was super intense, but very useful. I did learn a lot, and I found myself very empowered because not having a lot or having this instability, it was the opportunity to learn how to create something, and they gave me all the confidence and trust to try out whatever. And for me, that was very important. I didn't have this experience before. I was always working for others, and these others, they didn't want me to take decisions or to be involved in this creative process, and they were allowing me to try out all kind of things. And I was coming from, I studied cultural management, but before I studied philosophy, that is less material, you know. So I was very excited to learn, about the numbers and these patterns and to know. And first I was trying out, the most common things, and then these new things. But I learned more from the handmade economy, let's say, that from the other one. So yeah, the time that I invested in this, it was the best. I learned a lot, and I'm very happy and very proud of the things we did. And even that sometimes they were painful, because I repeat, it's not just learning the job. There were geopolitical problems. There was a lot of unfair things, people that they were not able to travel to Europe because they don't have money, because you deal with the lack of privilege of other artists. And it was hard as well. It was hard in Barcelona because they do, well, now we've been away for 10 years, but by the time that I was working there, it was not a city that was looking at the sea, let's say. Was giving the back to all the Mediterranean culture, and even that they have institutions. And it was very hard to penetrate the cultural scene of Barcelona. It was all England, and this fancy thing, Primavera Sound, and big investors. It was a little bit like how we say in Catalonia, pica pedra. No, I don't know the the equivalent of same kind of sentence in English. But it was quite difficult. But yes, I did learn a lot, and it was a good investment. And I like it to be trying out the most common things in economy, but I enjoy it more the new ones, because I really like the way that art contributes to this kind of handmade way.
And now, how do you evaluate success in terms of the kind of stuff that you do? If you're not using traditional, or if you're using less, or at least an aspect of what you do is not traditionally economic. So how do you evaluate if you consider it successful or not?
Successful for me, or successful for the
Just in terms of the reasons why you do it. I'm just trying to paraphrase Antonia's question, extending it to maybe the stuff you're doing now.
Okay. I think for me, just to be able to try out, to do the things differently with people around, that's success. Because sometimes when you are facing like problems with your job, or you don't have enough money to survive well, let's say, you are so scared of losing this little bit that you have, that you are blocked, and you just keep doing what the people tell you to do. You don't think out of the. And I think just having the confidence, the space in your mind, and the time to try out something a little bit different, for me, this is success. And if you do it with people, even better. But I don't think I think it's not possible to do it without people around, really. But I think this is successful. And if you enjoy it, even better. Because I think with the tiles, we have this sentence that we put as a slogan that is like connecting the floor that we step on with pleasures of life. I think it's possible to do the things to just manage your own economy and even have fun. I mean, that's how I feel it. I don't know. I'm very excited just to learn something new. And when you play, sometimes there's the anticipation that you know that you will have fun, that something will come up. So I have the same attitude, and I think in philosophy as well. Sorry, there's this definition that philosophy is the capacity of wonder. No, so Yeah.
And I think you say you had been working with different people.
Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, how do they react, and what it make them excited? There is a common issue, or it depends of their cultural background or the age. There are other elements that kind of influence that.
I think normally when you put people together that they are very different, it's all about the conversation between the different elements, no? That you are not expecting. If you put yourself with another person that has a similar, way of thinking, work, okay, you can go deeper to your own ideas and maybe extend a little bit and read a little bit about this book. It's so good. But then when you are just experimenting this other way to do the things, and you need to talk to someone that, I don't know, comes from Afghanistan, you will learn something very different from this person as well from yourself. And it comes not just from the person's life, let's say. It normally there's like ancestors, no? It's like a tradition goes from your life to hundreds of years ago. So there's things and ways of doing the things that they are connected to deeper ways of doing things that
Yeah, but what I would say, what make these people kind of go into the project together? You know, what is the spark thing that you say?
Of what's project in particular are you thinking?
Well,
Which
the
one?
one, for instance, the one now with the tides that
With
you
the
were
tiles.
mentioning. Yeah, with the tiles.
Normally how it works, Antonia, because my work is community engagement in I live in the same neighborhood that I work for, and I normally I'm not very professional in the sense that I don't separate my life, my normal life, to from my professional life. So in my daily life, I just build relationships with the people around, and other than the tiles making I was mentioning before, there were other events that put together the people, like we did cooking, radio. So we try to generate social spaces for the people to meet more randomly, give the people opportunities, because the neighborhood where we live, there's not a lot of social spaces. So there was a big effort, first of all, to create more kind of excuses or ways to meet with other people. That's very important, and to have like regular meetings and building relationships, but genuine relationships, not extractivism. Because normally if I organize an activity for kids in this little community space, the kids play we I don't know, imagine that we do a kind of a project in there. We finish our project, our craft, whatever we do. And when they finish, the kids, they ask me, what are you doing now? Can we come and play in your house? I say, yes. So there's no, there's no separation really. And
But maybe, sorry,
and
go ahead.
at some point, my boss told me, do you want to move house and go maybe 2 streets far away? And I told him no, because it will change the whole thing.
But so maybe it needs some lines drawn around it so it's clear, because there's certain of some of the projects that Anna was talking about are community projects that we did together as community artists, and the tile project is part of. She's working for a housing organization called Gyroscope in our neighborhood, and she's doing community engagement with them. For them, she's doing managing their social. Their social media, and she applied for after there were about a year ago there were a bunch of far right, extreme right riots all over England, and one of the focal points of these riots was the city where we live in. So they afterwards they're trying they came up with this funding scheme that was to try and bring communities together. And Anna, ever since we were talking about these Estudio Valija and the tiles that they make for the past, I don't know, easily 2-3 years, Anna's been saying we need to do these tiles in our neighborhood. We need to do a tile some of the areas in our neighborhood and do these workshops and do these collective tile making sessions. Because what Estudio Valija did after they did a lot of these workshops is they published in a very clear format how to make these tiles. They spent a lot of effort researching how to make these tiles, these hydraulic, the typical hydraulic tiles from Eixample, from Barcelona. They learned how to do it, and then they have all the measurements, everything very, very specific how to do it. So, so Anna applied for this funding scheme through Gyroscope, the housing, and then she contacted all of these different organizations in our neighborhood that are doing creating social spaces. So there's a boxing gym, and there's a community center, and there's a community garden, all these different places. And with all of these people on board, she applied for this money. She got this very competitive funding to do this, to do these tiles. And then, because we live about a block away from where this the community center that she's managing is, so it's very different than if you're just a professional kind of community engagement person, because there's the personal relationships and the professional relationships, like she said, they mix and they're being built incrementally all the time. So engagement really fluctuates just in general, especially in a neighborhood like us, where most people are just hiding in their houses watching television. There's the neighbor. It's one of the most deprived neighborhoods in the United Kingdom. So it's really hard, and people are very, very unwell and very unstable. So it's very hard for people to commit to a project. And the way, this is from my observation, the way Anna's been constructing relationship with a lot of care, involving people in the management of the community center, involving people in the design of the community center, not in a kind of formal, open, people are involved, but really in inviting specific people to specific people that she saw that there's, she has a mental map of the social relationships and the kind of different interests and the different life stories all around us. And she thinks, okay, this person, I can invite them to sit here and do this with me. And slowly, like that, these relationships throughout years, they build. And then building on that is this tile project. And like, I'll give you an example. This tile project has a cooking component in it. She's going to organize these cooking sessions for these tile, and diversity is very important. Cultural diversity is very important for this project. So it's very important that this project demonstrates that it's a kind of that these tiles create spaces for people to gather from different cultures to show, to counter the far right kind of riots that happen, and the kind of wave of far right demonstrations that are happening. So so just to give you an example how some of these things unfold in a very informal, almost through chance encounters. We were walking with our children by a park, and we saw a bunch of Muslim women sitting on the floor with blankets, having this massive, beautiful picnic. So
I knew two of them already.
Sorry?
When we passed by the group, I knew two of these women.
You knew, so she already knew two of them, and she started talking to them. But while she was talking to these women, she kind of struck a friendship with this one other woman. And this woman gave her like the couscous that they were eating and kind of shared it with her. And then she started saying, okay, this woman can teach us how to make couscous and have a big session, and I can pay her to do it, because it's also part of this idea of creating livelihoods for people who might not otherwise being able. So this is just a chance encounter next to a playground evolved into us going to this woman's house with our kids, meeting her kids, eating couscous, taking back a huge plate of couscous, the plate of which we haven't returned yet. And she's gonna be, then she becomes formally the leader of a workshop teaching people to make this couscous. And like this, multiple examples is how these things are kind of built in this kind of like relational antwork that's very hard to systematize and to map. I don't know if this was a good explanation.
No, that's good. That's good because that I was wondering what brings, what is the element that brings, and that explains the process that brings the people together.
I think as well, Aviv and Antonia, the fact that we are not English attracts more this kind of people, because I see when I organize an event, it's so diverse. And before, other people, they were organizing the same kind of events and it was less diverse. And I think maybe it facilitates as well, no? You have the kind, maybe not the same kind of problems, but similar kind of problems. This woman was living in Spain before, so she has a Spanish passport and she needs to renew the Spanish passport of her son. And she was asking me, how do you do it? We have common things, no? Because we are not English, really.
Maybe I should also add, just to give an example of the other woman who's going to give a workshop, that some of these things are years, because say the market that I organized was also very culturally diverse. And through the market, we met this one woman, Ukrainian woman, who was interested in doing theater, and that was years ago.
No, it's not. It's Lithuanian. It's called Ingrid.
Lithuanian, sorry. And now she introduced you to the woman who's going to make, who's going to do the other workshop, who's going to teach us all to make borscht. So this is a relationship of someone who used to come to the market years ago, and then we used to bump into her once in a while in the street, and then and now she introduced you to a person who's going to give this workshop. So these relationships are more like the stories of personal relationships, but then they kind of the boundaries between the personal and the professional are kind of porous, and things filter in and then materialize into something that actually you can call a project or an economy or something like that.
So, and you had been living there for these 10 years in the same area. So that's part also, I guess, part of the key issue.
That helps a lot, yeah.
It's
not the same to see someone when you are in the office and you have your own computer and you feel there safe and with the heating, or if you go and you buy milk at 10 o'clock at night in a rainy day and you find your neighbor. It's different, no? Yeah, it puts us in the same place. That I think is how it should be. Really.
And you all communicate in English?
Yes, sometimes.
Or there are different languages at the same time?
No, sometimes there's different language. Now I have this neighbor that he's from El Salvador, and we speak in Spanish because his English is not so good, and we like to relax as well, speaking Spanish. And with this woman from Morocco, because she was living in the Basque Country for very long, she likes to speak Spanish as well with me. So, and even that they speak Arabic or another language, that I don't think that that's a problem. We just learn. When we were doing the market, one of the things that we were doing, it was a language exchange, and so we had Swahili, and it was a great way to start a conversation, like not knowing anything and just the intention to communicate somehow and learn. And I was not thinking about learning Swahili, but then when you start, you see that it's very useful.
Yeah, probably the diversity of languages, or being open to the different languages, is also an element that helps.
It helps, and you find the common elements between all the languages, and maybe you go faster to this place because you don't have all the words to go into your own language and do all this kind of acrobacies. You go direct to your need, to the important thing.
Maybe I can ask you a question, Antonia. Hearing these kind of stories, like kind of anecdotes mixed with philosophizing and stuff like that, do you see the connection to community and diverse economies framework? Like, do you see the relationship between this and the kind of writing and thinking that we're doing in the Community Economies Research Network? Is it something that you feel resonates, and that it's is articulated, or does it feel quite alien?
No, I think it relates quite closely. You are creating new dynamics, that are out of the mainstream, and you link art with activities, with community building. So yeah, you are reinventing, not directly maybe only economic means or aspects, but also you are operating in this kind of questioning, what it is. Do art, or what is this? Do community, even community engagement. It's like facing from doing it from a different perspective, and in that sense, in the fact that it questions, the labels that are traditionally attached to these activities. I think it relates very closely, and also it helps also to emerge different dynamics, which is also part of the community economics approach, isn't it? It's not only to invent, but to allow a space from emerging dynamics that exist, but they are hidden by our common understanding of how processes work, or what is valuable, or what should we label as a success. So I think it's very interesting. I envy your energy, by the way, because one thing I think, part, I guess, I'm just guessing, part of the energy comes from the fact that you are really enjoying it. I did philosophy a long time ago, and we used to say that philosophy is the Sunday within the Christian perception, the Sunday of humanity. It's a kind of, so when you do something that you really enjoy it, you don't even perceive as a job. And probably maybe that's what also brings this energy, because I think that to do this type of activities, you need to have a lot of energy, because it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. But I think, I still have this curiosity and like a little child to learn. Yeah, this is very connected to philosophy, I think. It's like I don't know how you call it in English, the superhombre del Nietzsche. That it says it's a little boy playing. Yeah, and I think one of my wishes that the people they find this joy as well, because sometimes not in all the cultures, but sometimes you feel all the repression as well, and the suffer, and all this energy block. And that's why in the tile project I put this sentence, and I put like connecting pleasures of life with the floor that we step on. And I think one of the sentence out on the tiles, when the people they say, you are on the tiles, it means that you are having fun, that you are having a party. So there's this pleasure as well inside the project.
In the name.
Inside.
Well, I realize that when you speak, Anna, and you explain all these things, you all the time smile, So that's telling something. Because usually, we have a tendency to be sometimes very serious, but I see you all the time when you think about it and you explain, the kind of the joy attitude, which is very nice. And also I wanted to say, do you see people engaging and then disappearing? Because that's
all the time. Yeah. And there's a lot of mental health issues. but as well, it's very nice when they come back and you are still there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been working with people that they were very excited, very committed, always there working with me, and they disappeared. And it was difficult for me. But they came back and I was there still. So it's the same when I was talking about this collaborator that we had in Morocco, that he knew that we were there for him, you know. So I think, yeah, when this happens, you can fail. And then, yeah, come back. And it can
Yeah.
happen to me as well, no?
Yeah.
Things fluctuate all the time. I think one of the good things of the design thinking, it is that it's a process that is very flexible, and it works very well against assumptions that the people, they are very attached to ideas and they think, have this idea and this will be a success, and you know, and then the context change, or the people, they expect other things, and you need to adapt all the time, no? And I think this is very healthy to have this kind of mood, that you know that every kind of thing that challenge what you are doing, it can be an opportunity for change, and you can still be there and learn things and be stronger, you know. And I think the pandemic was one of these examples, no, that nobody was expecting this scenario. And it changed all the things we do now, mental health, everything, on the full life. And yeah, having this flexibility and expecting that, yeah, an accident will happen soon, I think is a good attitude. Otherwise, you will have a meltdown very soon.
Yeah, the other thing is that it reminds me, you know, as I said, I'm in a very different universe. But some of the experience that you are explaining, it reminds me a little what I live when I started to had an interest in la PA, in la Plataforma de Afectadas per la Hipoteca, and I went to their meetings because initially when nothing was happening and these people were acting, I thought it was something very interesting. And I didn't went that much because I couldn't, and finally got a PhD student that did the PhD thesis on that, and he was the one involved really. But I remember, you know, the sense of empowerment of being in a group, and also very interesting, the idea that was not that much, everybody had a problem, but was not that much you are here for you. They keep saying, don't ask what LAPA can do for you, ask what you can do for LAPA.
Yes.
And I think this energy that generates a group was very interesting. And the other thing I wanted to ask is always the sense of humor that they use. You know? And although the situations were sometimes very difficult, humor played a
Yes.
very important role. And how about that experience? Or that the
In
humor in your
England.
experience?
In England, okay, now I say England because it's different from Spain to England. I think the Mediterranean culture is much different than the North European one. It's difficult to find it. They have a very sharp way of understanding humor, but it doesn't come out so easy. And sometimes how it works in my case, I just provocate a little. I just provocate. And I ask something that they will feel not well about it. Because yeah, it's not easy, and I don't want to just relay in stereotypes, but let's say that it's a different way of understanding emotions. It's different. I think in Spain it's much more fluid, all comes out. Sometimes it's difficult as well. But in England it's more difficult, so I see myself sometimes just trying out, provocating to see the reactions, because it's not my culture, and I see that sometimes, yeah, I challenge some of the ways of, yeah. Sometimes I ask questions just to build a space in the mind to think about it. but I don't want to push. Yeah. But it's interesting because it's true that it's something that protects you, the human, a lot. Yeah. Yeah. But
So
yeah. Sorry, Aviv.
no, no, it's just because I think we're drawing to the close of the session, unless there's any other last comments from
Well,
anyone.
I can ask, are you planning to come anytime back soon?
Maybe in the spring, I think
For a visit.
we have
For a visit, not to leave. No,
I
you
think
stay.
maybe in
live
the
even,
spring.
but not
And
in
I
the spring.
think and I think we will have a presentation as well, Aviv,
Yeah, we're doing
Right.
we're invited to do a presentation
in Sabadell, I think.
in
Okay.
Sabadell, so we're gonna be there for that for sure. And
We miss the sun. We miss the sun, Antonio.
and people.
And the people. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah. So thank you, Ana and Antonia.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
Yeah, it was nice to see you.
Yes, 10 years had passed.
Since
I don't know if 10, but because
we met in the middle of our stay in England, no?
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
so maybe
Okay,
5.
okay. 5. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, said.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
at
I
Espai Mallorca.
Hey.
think.
Nice to see you again. Hopefully
Yeah.
see you soon. If
Yeah.
we're there, we can have a coffee.
Keep in touch.
No?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Cool.
Was very nice to talk to you,
Yeah.
Antonio.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
See you
you, Aviv.
soon. Take care.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.